What you are proposing is madness.
You of all people should know, Declan Van Helsing. That monster took out your entire unit. And you want to unleash another one? I knew this day would come. And I must say, it's dreadfully exciting.
If you remember back to last week, it was absolutely bonkers. San Diego Comic-Con, some overseas shows, there was a lot to talk about. So I missed a few things. And I also skipped a few things because of time. So we're swinging back around because I'm Robo. This here's the rewind. First off, the Medicom Exhibition, where I missed a whole mess of MAFEX. Hey, it was an overseas show. Some of them weren't supposed to be photographed, so I had to do some Facebook diving, some scrounging of pictures. But I did find more things because thanks to the comments, it was like, well, you missed this and this and this. And I thought, oh, I'm gonna go look. I'm not quite sure what's going on with this Dark Knight Returns with gun. Is it a different version from the several we've already gotten? Because we've gotten a few. I'm guessing maybe a different color scheme, and then of course, the gun. Hush Batman in blue and black, and I am assuming that these are new because they're in grayscale, except for the capes. And there we can kind of tell that the blue on this one is different from the blue on the one we already got. That blue was a bit more faded, more washed out. This is blue. And then when it comes to the black, I'm not sure, because I'm looking right at the previous black and gray version, and it's definitely black. And that had the shorter cape, and the original blue had that long, almost cumbersome cape. So we'll just have to see what happens here. For tomorrow's Superman, and this one is interesting because we've gotten a bunch of Hush type characters, including Superman, which is all in that Jim Lee art style. This is another Jim Lee art style Superman, and it doesn't look any happier than the first one we got. But it does have a base, and from the pictures I've looked up online, the blue should be a bit deeper than the one we got. That first one is kind of it's not super light blue like classic Superman blue, but it is on the lighter side. This should be a darker blue. But then there's also For Tomorrow Wonder Woman, which is our long-wanted comic book version of Wonder Woman, but not quite. Not that classic look for Diana that a lot of us are wanting. Oh, it's close, and I love the skirt look, but what's throwing me off here is the grayscale. Only because it makes the upper torso look super detailed with the sculpt, and then you have the skirt and the belt, and the midsection just looks plain. Almost like, oh, wait, are they missing something? No. I feel like once that's metallic red, it'll tie everything together and it'll look a lot better. But then the hair is also a little flatter. I guess I'm being very picky when it comes to a MAFEX Wonder Woman, because with the prices the way they are these days, I just want to buy one Wonder Woman, and I want my mind's eye, that iconic look for Wonder Woman, which again, this isn't too far off, but not quite there for me. I'm just speaking for myself. I still haven't seen the Flash movie, so I don't know if this Affleck Batman, it has already been solicited or it's already been shown, because it is full on painted, full color. It looks final. But this Flash movie Keaton Batman is definitely being seen for the first time here. It looks a little bit clunky chunky, but I haven't seen the movie. Is he clunky chunky in the movie? I'm coming back around to this Joker because last week I joked about it being a certain price point before Warner Brothers or DC would allow merchandise to go out there, which is what we saw with McFarlane. Had to stick it in there with De Niro and the set, and it's like too much money. Here I thought, oh, he's gonna come with that big staircase. Well, I found another picture that showed even more accessories. So I'm thinking this is gonna be a good grief, is this going to push $300? $350? Is that the only way to get a Joaquin Phoenix Joker out there in the MAFEX line? Maybe. We got the Let There Be Carnage Venom solicited last week. It only makes sense to show a prototype for Let There Be Carnage. Not my favorite iteration of the character, not my favorite representation. That big, huge, towering over Venom look, that's not for me. Only because you go back, Carnage always seemed a bit leaner and well, he was definitely leaner and smaller, but that almost made him more of a threat because he was lithe and fast, but blades going all over the place. So yeah, making that just huge and big seems to go against the very idea of the character. But that's just me grabbing about a movie. You know, as I tend to do, I grab about so many things. I hate everything. Also swinging back to Bo-Katan because some people pointed out that in the 3rd season, she had a different hairstyle, which we don't see any hint of that here. But she also replaced her shoulder pauldron with the one the gave her. So is that the only difference with this figure and the one we already have? I don't feel like that's enough to buy her again. Don't get me wrong, the first one is my shelf display version. It looks fantastic, but I don't need it again. Can I just buy the pauldron and swap it out? But then I also found this image, which is, okay, I hate to say more exciting because all it is more future stuff. And we're seeing less prototype. It's just announcements for future stuff. But coming back around, hey, I've already seen all these figures, or most of them. I had to go back and look for new stuff. But, oh, they're gonna go back and do more MCU type things. I think I would pick up a MAFEX Thunderbolts, Yelena, Bucky, and US Agent, just because. Well, I say that, I saw the, well, okay, Marvel Legends hasn't shown a Bucky, have they? Yelena's in a 2-pack with Red Guardian. US Agent is in a 2-pack with Sentry. Surely Bucky's on the way. How can you not make Bucky? How can you make those 2-packs and not make Bucky? And I guess Ghost. Maybe I won't get the MAFEX versions. I just talked myself out of those. I'm about to do the same when it comes to a MAFEX Daredevil and Punisher, because I'm sure they'll look great, but we've already seen the renders for Marvel Legends versions, and those are way cheaper. Sure, they won't be as agile, but there's also a $75 price difference. I pick and choose. Like that Bosk from last week? Oh, definitely, because I don't see Star Wars Black Series doing an update for Bosk anytime soon. Oh, yeah. But here, where they're all coming out at the same time, I kind of see why Medicom waits sometimes to not compete with other companies' offerings. But we may not see these for another year or two. So, because we're seeing quite a few Supermans too. So they may wait for the off-looking SH Figure Arts to be in the past, in the rearview mirror. Same thing for the Mezco One 12th Collective, which we'll get to in a minute. Maybe they'll come back around in a couple of years and go, bum, bum, here's a good-looking Superman. Or maybe not. You never know. Moving over to BigBadWorkshop and their display at San Diego Comic-Con, I purposely left them out last week just because of the sheer number of figures they had stuffed into their display case. It was pure plastic overload or resin or whatever the prototypes were. So we're gonna run through some newer things from older lines and newer lines with even newer things in them. For their Longbox Heroes Prestige line, we already knew about Vacation Tick, but when I didn't talk about it or post pictures on social media, people were like, hey, you didn't take pictures of the Tick. And I'm like, well, we already saw that. Do you want more? So here we go. Here is Tick in the thing on vacation. But it only made sense to start with that because they also showed Chairface Chippendale. Now, I am not a Tick expert. I think I've said it on here before, and I always feel like I have to apologize after, but I was more of a fan of the live action Tick series. And I find it hilarious. I was never into the cartoon or a comic. I know. Let me like what I like. We'd already seen renders of the Rocketeer pair too. Sky Captain was teased or something, but here's that figure. Grendel was definitely teased with the roses coming down and the staff. I like that they went with a different version from the LooseCollector Grendel that came out recently. That was more just the costume, you know. Here, with the trench and the extras to it, okay. Then there's Madman, and I saw or heard so many opinions about this going around. Yes, it is definitely Madman, and it's a good looking base body with the muscles and such. But it being Madman, it shouldn't have the muscles and such. It should be more flat, less buff. Now, separately, if it was just a blank base body, I'd be going, oh, you can do so many superheroes on that body. Looks great. But then when it comes to Madman, I would like to see him on a different body. So they were taking suggestions. They were taking people's opinions in stride. So that was good to see. For Naughty or Nice, they were displaying an early Mrs. Claus and also taking opinions on that. Because when you first look at it, you think, is that Mrs. Claus? Oh, it is. It's just not your mind's eye version. Not that there's anything wrong with that. This is just their take, which doesn't mean that it's the final take, that the only take. If it's anything like the Santa Clauses, we may see more than a few versions of Mrs. Claus down the line. The Raven Society was fully revealed. Well, I say fully revealed. We saw Edgar Allan Poe as the start to this line, and then there was a tease by the placard that is obviously Houdini, right? So those two names, those two figures, is the start of a very interesting series. I want to see what's beyond that. No, I want to see Houdini, and I want Edgar Allan Poe, but what's beyond? What's to come? Now, I love all that, but for some reason, I kept gravitating to their new NPC line, which is essentially just background characters. Figures to fill in your displays or your dioramas, your action shots. Maybe you need an exorcist priest on hand for exorcisms. A SWAT officer is handy in all kinds of displays. Same goes for bank robbers. Spider-Man needs somebody to beat up, to stop from doing crime, to web up to lampposts. And they're showing all kinds of mask options, swappable heads. So this is definitely an army builder, a troop builder situation, to have a whole gang of bank robbers just filling up the front, just going in. Are the alarms off? Okay. Mob Boss is looking sweet. Now, that has less troop builder potential, but you need a boss to send the guys out to do crime. But my favorite is the cheerleader. I don't know, it says head options, so you can build a squad, I guess. I don't know what I would do with these, but it's just something out of the blue, out of nowhere, out of left field to put up in places like Peter Parker at school or something. See, you can find uses for all these. But I'm flipping over to here for Big Bad Workshop's Operation Monster Force because that had some updates outside of the con. Here's an updated render for Red Riding Hood, who is gonna add a lot to the display. I picturing her some brighter colors, or maybe a deep red, but that still would stand out against the grunginess of a lot of the characters in this series. Plus it's a female figure, which they've shown a couple more, but yeah. Let's get these rolling, put those in with the rest. Now this just adds to the pile, but I was told that they are finding their groove with the factory for upcoming release dates. Like an example is Chatsworth is already in tooling, so it shouldn't take near as long as some of the other figures we've been waiting on. He may be sooner rather than later, which is good because, oh man, once this gets kicking and all the other series starts coming out, it's just, sure, they are their own thing. It's Monster Force. But it also, like I always say, it's just jack of all trade figures. You can put these anywhere. I need more Monster Force and Naughty or Nice and that NPC line and all. There was stuff they were talking about that wasn't even there. So it's just gonna keep going. And I'm here for it. I mentioned LooseCollector, and he's kind of in the same situation where showing some stuff and then getting the factories ramped up to get that stuff actually out. But there is new stuff on the horizon about to hit our hands, like the, what are they called? The LooseCollector Executive Replicas Captain Canuck. Now, I think we have seen a factory sample after the initial pre-orders because the first time around we saw renders. But then when we saw an actual figure, the colors popped a lot more. There was a lot more metallic to it, and it makes me like the figure even more. I don't even know who Captain Canuck is, but here I am going, and of course I've talked about it before. I can put it with Alpha Flight, I can put him over here, I can put him in wherever I want it to go. But I'm flipping again because Captain Canuck is LooseCollector's collaboration with Executive Replicas. Moving over to his collaboration with Platinum Studios, here is a new picture of the upcoming Rob Liefeld Extreme Universe Youngblood Die Hard. Yeah, it did take me a few times to put all those words together. Woo! This is looking great. Again, we had already seen digital renders, and those were looking great too, but I like to see something physical. I am slightly worried about the inner tubes going around the shoulders, but that's the design. What are you gonna do? But the reason this is popping up now is because pre-orders open next week, and there will be more pictures of this, including painted versions, so we'll get a better look at that point. We're moving over again because while we're sticking with LooseCollector, we're getting into his own line, The Crypt, where this week he posted an actual resin output of El Chupacabras. If I remember right, he's saying that this will come out about the same time as Dogman, the renders we've been seeing over the past few weeks. So many monsters, so much goodness coming. Because he's also told me next week, pre-orders will open up for the Bigfoot versus Yeti Black Furred Bigfoot. And, oh man, I don't know how much Bigfoot goodness I can take because I already need 2 Bigfoots and 1 Yeti. I don't know yet. I know I need some for customizing too. Something that completely slipped my mind last week is the Harvinger Studios Savage Stands and Deluxe Dungeon. They actually reached out and said, hey, we're putting these up for pre-order. And I said, okay, I'll put them on the list. But it was during San Diego Comic-Con, and I think I was on the bus going to the show or on the con floor somewhere, and I thought, okay, mental note, talk about these on the next rewind. And my mental notes aren't what they used to be. If I don't write stuff down at this point or save a picture, screenshot, send myself an email. But hey, nothing wrong with swinging back around. I'll talk about nifty stands all day because that's what these are, nifty. The Savage Stands are triangles with peg holes in them that you can use either for pegs to go into feet to help stand your figures, hence the name stands. Or what's cool is you can plug rocks into those holes to cover them up so you don't have just round obvious holes in the stand, and you can put them anywhere. Even better, those are $10, which is crazy to me. I would think, I'm gonna get something for my action figures. $10? Whew, what is this, 1998? But then the Deluxe Dungeon goes a little further. It still stands, and you can still put them together with the Savage Stands, but then there's more options available. There's more rocks, there's more skulls, there's a sword option to stick down in there, or you can stick other Savage Crucible figure swords into the hole. There's rats, there's blood, there's chains with cuffs to hold your figures in the dungeon. But then there's a cool Komodo dragon, and that is what catches my eye the most. I'm on an animal kick lately, so I get to add this to the collection. Woo! And that is $24. So it's very affordable additions for your shelf. That's not figures, but it spruces up the display. I am going to talk about the Storm Collectibles Storm Arena Street Fighter Alpha 3 Dan. Yep, that right there is a Street Fighter Alpha 3 Dan from Storm Collectibles' new actual 1/12 scale Storm Arena line. Can you tell I have no clue who Dan is? From what I understand, he's a joke character, that he's supposed to look silly and such, and his moves are similar to Ken and Ryu's, but not near as powerful or something. That's what I've gleaned from the internet. I still haven't laid hands on Storm Arena, so I don't know if they're good or not. I've heard great things, so there you go. If you're a fan of Street Fighter Alpha 3 and Dan, and you're enjoying Storm Arena from Storm Collectibles, then there you go. Earlier I mentioned that there is another 2025 Superman out there, and it is Mezco's 1/12 Collective. Now, you know what I usually say about Mezco and their super suits. I don't care for that skin tight look, but here it kind of works. After watching the movie and noticing that it's not your traditional types, like it's not muscle skin tight, it feels like clothing. And Mezco did a good job of translating that here. But I'm noticing a problem of toy companies actually getting the likeness. With SH Figure Arts, it looked like Shooter McGavin. With McFarlane Toys, I haven't quite made a comparison there yet. I haven't looked that close. Here, they get a little bit closer, but it still feels like a young Willem Dafoe. Somewhere right here, or right here. Especially on this head. The hopeful head is the one that looks kind of like Green Goblin. I really like Crypto though. And before I saw the movie, I thought, why are they all doing that ear thing? Did they all get the same picture, the same reference material? But no, again, seeing the movie, okay, I get it. I'm not liking the $116 price tag. I'd be okay with it if it came with more stuff. But this is just your basic Mezco 1/12 collective. The figure, hands, heads, dog. Granted, there is 5 heads, one with heat vision, but this feels like a very standard Mezco release from a few years ago. And I emphasize that because prices are going up. This may be the new standard Mezco price. But if you were waiting for a Mezco Superman, bam! There you go. My DC focus for this week is the McFarlane Toys DC Retro Super Friends Wave 2. Because while we've seen these in render form, they look even better in plastic form. Yes, I agree. I wish there was more articulation, especially at the ankles. But that's the retro label. We're gonna bust them down to 1/12 scale, but take away most of the articulation. But when it comes to the Super Friends and Batman 66 and the New Adventures of Batman, it fits the aesthetic, I think, but I will still forever gripe about no ankles. Every action figure should have ankles. But that's not gonna stop me from buying Superman and Flash, even with those cuts. And I realize why those are there. This is reuse of the Batman body, and Batman has a belt. And for some reason, they made a cut on top of it. Maybe it's another piece to swap out the belt, but they also used it on Riddler, but he has a belt that kind of follows that same line. Flash doesn't have a belt. No, that lightning belt, maybe it is a belt. Maybe I'm subconsciously just wanting to argue with you. That's a costume design element that makes the straight lines even more obvious because of their jaggedness going across. So you look and you think, what, why, oh. But the body shape itself fits, so I can't fault him too much. At least until I get to the villains of this wave who steal the show. Well, okay, Toyman does use that same Batman body, but he's got a belt that follows the lines and he has an overlay on the shoulders that does a lot of heavy lifting. Captain Cold, on the other hand, does seem to have a lot of new sculpt, which is weird because, well, it's Captain Cold, you know? But at the same time, he's got those design elements. He's got the furry cuffs. He's got the bagginess to the costume. So yeah, he needed a new sculpt in order for it to be Captain Cold. Andy is my second favorite in the wave. My absolute favorite is Cheetah because she is way better than she has any right to be in the DC Retro line. Sure, she has the basic points of articulation, but this figure seems so expressive, and I think it's right here. The paint on the face is very walk out of cartoon into plastic form. And I guess the rest are like that too, but compared to Superman and Flash's eyes, which I guess do go back to the cartoon, Cheetah just has more life to her. She's definitely top spot for me. Maybe it's, well, it's definitely the head, the face paint, but it's also the cheetah, the tail. Yep. But now we're heading back to San Diego Comic-Con again because for the 5 days I was there, I completely missed everything McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse related. One of my planes in was canceled, so I was in Vegas for 6 extra hours. I missed their press event before San Diego started. And then because of panel scheduling, I missed their presentation on Friday, on top of, for some reason, never making my way through their booth at any point. And I know they're right there in the middle, but apparently I was like, all around. Thankfully, they posted their panel on YouTube this week, and I was able to screenshot all the goodies out of it. And look at these character choices. Well, okay, yeah, there's a couple of Batmans, but when is there not ever a couple of Batmans in a DC Multiverse wave? Come on now, at least they're different versions. I like the Batman ink look. It's clean, but it's bulky. It's tough looking. I am a Trunks guy, but I feel like when I was reading Batman Inc., it was new and different, and oh look, that's kind of cool. I don't know a damn thing about Earth 2 Society Batman other than, hey, it's gold and black. I will say when I first saw this picture, I thought, is that a mustache? That looks dashing. It's quite majestic. Oh wait, no, that's fangs on the mask. Okay, never mind. Classic Batgirl is right up my alley. I think I did get that early Batgirl, but this is my brain picture of Barbara. I also remember this look for Static, but for some reason it is a McFarlane Toys store exclusive. Out of left field with this version of Starman, but I dig it. And yes, Red Platinum. I could say something like, oh, they're gonna make this one hard to get, but I've seen nothing but Red Platinums this weekend. And yes, I get it. It may just be my area, but it's kind of ridiculous how many Red Platinums I've seen this week. Scarecrow and Riddler are on my list though, because I love these two looks. Scarecrow may be slightly buff for my taste, for my liking, but I just love the overall look enough to disregard that part of it. And then this is Hush Riddler, right? I've always liked the suit look with the bowler hat. There is the collector edition of Metron, Mirror Master, and Deathstroke with a coming soon announcement. And I saw all three of these, plus the variants at various Targets since San Diego Comic-Con last week. You knew they were gonna find another use for that Mobius chair. I didn't know Batman with Mobius chair was a thing until I saw this, but hey, that's cool. Getting some mileage, getting more money out of those molds. I'm definitely more after Dr. Midnight. We're gonna make it all come down. We had seen a teaser for the theatrical edition of Peacemaker, and now we get the whole kit and caboodle. There's the helmets, there's the unmasked head, which I do think is a new sculpt. It looks better than that first release. There's Eagly, and then there's Peacemaker's gun. I still don't have the scoop on that. I don't know if it's Todd saying to hell with it, I'm just gonna do whatever I want while I have this license, or Warner Brothers has finally lightened up on their no weapons with action figures thing. Even though their comics and shows are full of people killing other people with weapons. Look at this damn beautiful wave though. I do believe we had seen the renders for this, for Max Schreck, for Catwoman, for Penguin, for Batman, but they look even better in figure form. I remember seeing the Penguins too, and without actually watching the panel that they posted on YouTube, I don't know if they said something about the Penguins being this size because they look huge in this picture, or if they're smaller, or what's going on here, but hey, armed penguins. This stole the show for me. This is absolutely amazing. I'll definitely haunt my one remaining GameStop hoping to see this in stock, or if it goes in stock online, I'll order it. Sight unseen. Bam! Send it to me. I want it. Of course Todd's gonna make a ultra articulated figure with lithograph of Mr. Bones. I get it, I really do. I think if I owned a toy company and could do whatever, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna make this, this, and this. I'm gonna make a lot of other cool stuff, but I'm gonna throw these in too. The Elite Edition on this page scares me because I know the prices are higher with that title above it. And I'm afraid I'll pay that price if I ever get the chance at Zatanna and Detective Chimp, because it's Zatanna and Detective Chimp. I don't think Detective Chimp has a lot of articulation, but at the same time, Detective Chimp. But it does say rendered, not final. So we'll find out soon. Then there's this crazy Collectors Club drawing board where there's different levels that you can jump into, and it says fun today, but I think it's all funded, so you have a chance at all this. There's the Batmobile, there's Batmobile with extra stuff, there is a Batman and Bat Signal that I think has been offered before, but now you can buy it separate or with this whole bundle. I look at this, level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you get level 4, then you get the big 3 in black and white, and then everything below that. The Batmobile, the turret, the guns for the Batmobile, Batman with the Bat Signal, and if you go to level 5, you also get the metal poster with the Todd signature on a poster for Justice League. But when it comes to the Hasbro G.I.Joe Classified Series Fall Convention exclusive Pythona, That was actually on my list last week, and I skipped right over it. Honestly, I'm surprised it didn't happen more. I think I mentioned it last week that there were 90 figures to go over, so me missing one that was actually on my list, I know I missed a lot of stuff, but this was right there. In fact, I didn't realize I missed it until the next day when people were like, hey, why didn't you talk about Pythona? And I thought, wait, that was on the list. I'm sure I talked about her. Nope. No, I didn't. But now she gets featured on her own with the scary eyes and fangs and the stretchy, fleshy costume thing that is a very unique sculpt. Not to mention all the creepy extras. What is all this? I wish I knew more about Cobra La, but I don't. So I see the Krusties and the Eelies and everything. I think, whoa, that's amazing looking. I should find out more, but I usually don't. I'm kind of glad I missed this because I forgot to explain the fall convention exclusive situation when I was talking about the Star Wars Black Series Mace Windu versus Darth Sidious. It's almost like I subconsciously forgot this, so I could come back and say that the Fall Con exclusive includes New York Comic Con, Luca Comics and Games, I think was mentioned, and then MCM London. There may be more, but that's the big three that I remember, and those are the big three that I always remember Hasbro being at. I'm figuring it will be on Pulse afterwards, but I'm hoping it's like they did Cold Slither, where it went up, sold out, went up, sold out, and then they've put it up for pre-order and it stayed that way for everybody to get. Unlike the other San Diego Comic-Con exclusives this year. At least so far. Maybe they're waiting for something? It seems odd to do that with one line's exclusive, but not Star Wars or Marvel Legends, which we're swinging back around to because I missed one thing from the show, and then I wanted to come back and talk more about X-Men 97, especially Emma Frost. Last week I commented on how it looked like there was no torso articulation. I thought maybe there was a ball joint at the waist like we saw with Marvel Girl, one of the Jean Greys. Thankfully, the comment section pointed me to Chango Customs on Instagram, who sculpted the new parts for Emma and had an exploded view of the torso, and come to find out, it has all the torso articulation. Well, I say that because the base body doesn't have anything from here to here, but it is covered by the rubber overlay corset. So that will get in the way a bit, but I'm thinking it's gonna get more movement than I initially thought. The sculpt for the 2-pack first appearance Storm was also posted there, and you get a better look at the new heads. But I'm glad I looked there too, because it made me realize that the new Storm has double elbows. So yes, new heads, but also a body upgrade. So if you didn't get the Thunderbird pack, you're good to go. You have a nicer Storm. Although, well, I say that, I feel like the Thunderbird pack heads are more comic book. These are X-Men 97. And in my brain, oh, you can just swap heads. But I don't think the skin tones are gonna match. We'll see. We'll see. Or maybe you're like me who has the Thunderbird pack, but is also getting the new X-Men 97 2-pack because you're building a giant-sized X-Men display, and now you're building a X-Men 97 display. So you need 2 Storms. I'm such a sucker. But something I forgot to talk about last week is the Marvel Legends dupe they added to the display on Sunday. The reason I missed it is because my laptop was already packed up at the hotel and checked in. We went to the con, I took the pictures of dupe, we went back, got the luggage, got on a flight. I never transferred to my laptop, and when I got home I transferred from the laptop to the computer. This is a boring ass story, isn't it? I apologize. Basically, I forgot to put the picture in the bunch. So here's that. Now, Dan pointed out to me that it was very purposely put in front of the Maximum series figures. So the general consensus is that this is gonna come with Maximum Deadpool. I think leak lists already have him listed for the line for that series, and it only makes sense because, well, I say it makes sense. I would love an Ecstatics multi-pack. I need more of that team. Dupe would be awesome there, but the first Marvel Legends dupe came with Deadpool back in the Toy Biz days. So here's an updated dupe for an updated Deadpool. No, another Deadpool. It's Deadpool. Don't worry about it. It'll sell. If you don't want one, then leave it for somebody else because it's gonna go. But what if you just want dupe? He says, kind of wishing for a bigger, thicker Deadpool. I want him kind of buff, like early Deadpool. Back in his own series days from the 90s, before he got more lithe and agile. And yes, I have the old dupe. Why do I need a new dupe? Because it's a new dupe. While we're in Marvel land though, I do not know a ding dang thing about 6" plus, but they are offering up, what are they calling it? Green Scar. Not Worldbreaker Hulk, not Gladiator Hulk. Green Scar Hulk. It's a Hulk that looks damn fantastic. So much so that even though I am pretty much down to just wanting a good lime gamma green classic Hulk, I'm considering this because it leaps off the screen. It's lifelike, but definitely based on the comics. And the options are awesome with the metal arms, the swappable shoulder pads, the shield, the weapons, the helms, the hair pieces, screaming. Yeah, okay. Okay, that's not bad at all for the price. That's a lot of plastic. And I don't guess I've gotten a Gladiator Hulk in a good long while. Maybe the Toy Biz one? And that is somewhere. I don't even know where that is. I think there was a select, and there may have been later one, but I don't think I got either of those. But they didn't look like this. And I like the look of this. And that's all I have for this week. I still feel like I'm missing things because that's just how crazy the past few weeks has been. But again, ain't nothing wrong with swinging back around. That's what next weeks are for. As always, special thanks to the no-bots and the nobodies, the Patreon and the channel members. I appreciate you tremendously. You don't know how much. All I can do is say it every week. I appreciate you. I am way behind with reviews. Well, one, I'm still renovating a house. I got finished with the living room, but now I've moved into the bedroom, and it's proving to be troublesome. Not in a, oh God, I've got to tear the house down kind of way. It's more of a, did anybody use a square on this damn house anywhere? But the carpet's out. I'm already feeling 100% better about that. But I got stuff at the show. I got the stuff at home during the show. I've gotten stuff since the show, and it's just piling up. I've already shot, the G.I.Joe Classified Series cartoon Snake Eyes and Bear. So good. I got Dragon Man and the Savage Land set, but I feel like if I shoot video of that, it's more like, hey, look what I got, and it's not available anywhere. So I don't know what I'm doing. I may throw it in front of a camera just to get it out of the way, but also some other Marvel Legends stuff. Oh, I did get the Medicom MAFEX Stormtrooper from Star Wars. That's looking pretty good. I may throw that down, open it up, see what's going on. Oh, and then a pile of Playday stuff. It may be a bit disjointed over the next month. Again, still trying to do two things at once, but that's okay. That's okay. I got to make time to play in between working on stuff, you know? Always got to have a little bit of fun. Oh, I said that word again. Okay, don't forget, you got to have fun or the hobby's not worth it. Otherwise, what are you doing? Griping all the time? Love you. Bye.